Hi, good morning. We're at my office in my consultation room today, and you're sitting there, if you're in the audience, like a patient would. We're doing the second part of the hormone balancing, natural hormone balancing, and we talked about the male and female hormones last time, and we're going to be talking about stressor hormones or the adrenal glands this time. There are thousands of hormones. There's hormones in your brain, in your thyroid, in your adrenals, in your even your gut, in your gonads. And all these hormones send messages through the body and they help us have balance and vibrancy to our lives so that improve the quality of our life. However, the problem is they can go awry, they can cause problems. So, what happens with the adrenal glands? Well, the adrenal glands are little bitty glands. They're about the size of olives. They sit on top of each of your kidneys. You have two of them. And they handle stress, all the stressors that come in from us all over the place. They can be physical stress, they can be psychological stress. Many times you create stress yourself by ruminating or going over things, as if the saber-toothed tiger was outside your door. You worry about that, but it's not outside there. Many of us, including myself, have had those problems. But anyway, that causes distress within our bodies and our hormones go awry. So what happens? You can have too much stress over periods of time. Too much stress will build up. It'll cause us to be anxious. It'll cause us not to sleep. It affects. It's inflammatory to all the system, to the brain, to the heart, to our cardiovascular system. We get high blood pressure. We get heart disease. We can actually increase Alzheimer's. So very important. If we have too much stress for too long, and everybody's subject to it. There's not a single person that's not subject to it. Some of us have a little more coping skills, or we've developed more coping skills, but everybody will succumb to too much stress over a period of time. Dr. Selye, a very famous doctor, about 50 years ago, he was studying at Harvard. He was from Canada, and he studied what happens with our stressor hormones, what happens with our adrenal glands if we have stress over too long a period of time. And there's a couple of things that happen. I'll kind of try to draw it out, but essentially stress, so you stay in eustress, that's normal stress most of the time, and maybe something happens. You're studying for an exam, or you're worried about the IRS, or you're worried about a test coming up, or financial problems, or marriage strife, or something like that. Everybody goes through this for a while. Our bodies go, the stressors go away, and then our bodies goes back into eustress again. Okay, a lot of times we'll go through a little bit of fatigue problem right there, where we get worn out and exhausted, and then our bodies respond. It comes back to normal. That's the normal adaptogenic response to stress. That would be normal for everyone. The problem is sometimes those stressors stay up and they stay too long, and all of a sudden that happens, that we have problems with too much inflammatory response from the cortisol given off by the adrenal glands. The cortisol is kind of like a battery in a car. The adrenal glands are like a battery. It's meant to energize. It's meant to respond to stress. And our bodies, usually during sleep, they build up that battery juice. It regenerates through the day, and then it goes down as the day goes along. So at the nighttime, we have less of that cortisol acting in our body, and we're able to sleep and regenerate that. But what happens if we don't sleep? What happens if we get poor sleep and we have that stressor hormone never develops? That causes what we call adrenal fatigue. So too much stress over too long of a period of time. Eventually our bodies, the cortisol goes down, but it doesn't come back up. It can't respond, and so we get adrenal stress. Dr. Wilson talks about that in his book. This is called adrenal fatigue. I do want to separate that from what they call adrenal insufficiency, or Addison disease. This is where your body is responding normally to stress, but it cannot make itself back. So the adrenal glands are not dead, they're just not operating efficiently. And in this, and he writes it in here, that you have a decrease in energy and immune problems, and you have decrease in vitality and enjoyment of life. And that's probably the number one thing that I see coming in my office. And it's usually women. Women have this, are subject to this 9 times more than men. I think, and it's actually science evidence-based proof, that women seem to worry more than men, and it's hard for sometimes women to drop it Women have a ability to do multifunction, multitasking, but not as much ability to put things into little compartments, compartmentalize their stress. So they have more trouble sleeping, more trouble with anxiety and stress, and more trouble with adrenal fatigue in the long run. The actual brain, the part of the brain that's in the worry, that's called a cingulate gyrus in the brain, is twice as big in women as in men. So women tend to have adrenal fatigue more than men, and it can cause irritability, depression, weight gain. Whether your hormones, whether your cortisol is way up or down, it will cause weight gain. It's very frustrating. So how do you know what you have? If you have some of these symptoms, how would you know? In our office, we like to do a simple salivary test. You take it home and you do it during the day. You spit 4 times during the day into a little tube. Then you turn this into the company. They send us back the results. And with those results, we're able to determine if your cortisol is too high or if it's too low, or if it's affecting you at all. And with how do we treat this? Well, it depends on what you have or what's happening. It's very individualized. We try to use stress relief. That's easy to say, have less stress, but that's not as easy. Get more sleep. Not as easy to do as to say. But this is one of the first things. So try to eliminate the stress. Therapy is good. Give sleep meds to help a person get some sleep. Adaptogenic herbs is one of the next things. So there's many of these herbs that were developed long periods of time ago to help us with stress. They have pretty names like ashwagandha or eleutherococcus, but these are herbs that have been around for centuries and have been used for people under stress. Interestingly, the Asians used them 5,000 years ago. They recorded that the Asians, when they were doing battle at high altitudes or on the road for many, many days, they used these adaptogenic herbs, and they discovered that they could handle more stress for longer periods of time. Vitamins. The adrenal glands just eat up vitamin C. They eat it up. They eat up vitamin B. They eat up magnesium. So we'll find that those vitamins and minerals are depleted in people with adrenal fatigue. So we're able to give you back those vitamins and minerals. We're able to give you adaptogenic herbs. Next, if it continues and we have adrenal fatigue and it's not taken care of by those steps, then we start adding in what we call natural adrenal glands. So these come from usually bovine or porcine sources, and they're actually ground up adrenal glands from cows and pigs, and we give that to you in a supplement, and those help us respond by improving our adrenal gland. The next step is to take cortisol. Cortef is a medical term for that. So many times people have real low adrenals that can't seem to have it come back up, and we're having to use cortisol. In my experience, I've never seen anyone stay down in adrenal fatigue, but once you're subject to it, once you find yourself subject to adrenal fatigue, it's very easy that it could come back again. So it's very important to see somebody for this, because chronic stress, chronic adrenal glands stress over a long period of time can have so much detriment to the body, and of course causes the person ill ease. I hope this has been helpful to you, and hope that you can take the things that I've talked about here, and use it for your help, yourself and your family. So pleasure, and we'll be doing part 3 coming up shortly on the thyroid gland. So good day.